Hello, everyone. Welcome to Donna's Happy Hour. Today, I have the great pleasure of introducing Bruce Young. Bruce is an artist, and I have to tell you, his work is phenomenal. He does all different mediums, but mainly he tends to work in ink, pens, I think also oils, but you won't be disappointed. So grab your drinks, whatever they may be, because I'm hoping you'll spend the next hour with me. So, Bruce,
Yes.
I want to thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome.
It was one of those things that I had seen on Facebook, actually, that you had done a show with Don.
Mm-hmm.
And I had seen your work. You occasionally post it. And I was like, oh my God, his work is so good. And I was like, I'm just going to give him a little ring-a-dingy and see if he'll come on my show.
Oh,
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Really, I really appreciate it. So I just want to give the audience a little bit of a background. Bruce has been drawing since he was a child. I mean, literally, he was telling me that when he was like 5 years old, when Thanksgiving came around, he drew all of the placemats and, worked on it for like a week ahead of time. So that must have told your parents and other people that you really had a gift and a talent for that. I think if I was a mother, I would have noticed that. And then he, of course, in high school, kept drawing, but then he wound up going to the Newark School of Fine Arts and Industrial.
Fine and Industrial Arts.
Fine.
Yeah, Newark. It's a long
I knew I wasn't going to get that right.
title. Yes, I get confused with it sometimes.
So, and how many years was that school?
Well, it was a 3-year school, but I went an extra year and I took a different type of art. I took it in an illustration course the 4th year, but the first year was a foundation, so you had a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then the second and third years, I took fine art. I painted all day. That's what we did. We painted or sculpted. The sculpture was involved, and then I liked it so much when when it was over, I said, I really, they have an illustration department here.
Might as well.
So I took another year.
Good for you.
Learned a lot there too. So it was.
So you got to work. That's what they did when I was in art school too. Is that wood crafting, woodwork was not really something that I knew. I did not want to go down that road, but they actually made you take a course in it, which wasn't a bad thing.
It's a good thing. Anything you learn is a good thing.
Anything you learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I would have preferred to take my time and utilize it elsewhere, but you have to weigh it out, and you never know. You could be pleasantly surprised.
Years later, you say, I'm glad I did that. Because
that's exactly right. Yes.
At the time, you don't know that you don't understand. Why do I have to do this?
Right.
But it's like algebra.
Well, for me, yeah, you're right. For me, the thing is they had a big electric saw that you would use so you could cut your shapes. Well, going as a child, I had had several accidents with sharp metal things. Oops. And let me tell you, seeing that blade spin around was very intimidating for me. That's why, unfortunately, I never really learned how to sew, because that needle going up and down so fast, I was like, no, I think I'll pass on that, But it is something that you just never know. You may find, if let's say there's a student that doesn't know which road they want to go down in the, in the art field, it might just encourage them. They may find that this really is comes natural to them.
Yeah, yeah. In art school, one of the in the base year where we did a little bit of this and a little bit of that, they actually taught us airbrushing a little bit because they had advertising, and back then everything was airbrushed. A lot of the advertising, and so they taught us airbrushing, and it turned out many years later I'd done a lot of airbrush art too. That that came in handy because I had a little knowledge of it.
Right.
And so like you said, you never know.
You don't know where you're going to use it.
20, 30 years down the road, it might.
It's really true. Yeah. I always found, now my mother was an artist. Which, now, did you come from nobody in your family?
Nobody that I know of. No, they didn't.
Okay.
No.
Oh, interesting. What about grandparents? Any of your grandparents?
I had never. I didn't really know my grandparents.
Okay.
Well, and,
all right.
I mean,
so you're not.
Some of them, died
before you were.
Yeah,
okay.
and so I nobody ever mentioned that. You're just like your grandpa. Whatever.
Right.
No, never. And
never.
It turns out my kids don't. My daughter's like a creative person,
Okay.
But,
so it's because what I find is it's definitely hereditary usually. Not to say that it
yeah,
but I really do feel that almost all gifts like that, whether it be being able to play an instrument or being able to paint or, and so forth and so on, that it's a hereditary thing. If you may not know that your great-great-grandfather or your, or grandmother
I'm sure
was
down the road
artistic.
There was and there's a lot of people that are talented and they have talent but don't utilize it or even realize they have
exactly.
it.
They weren't in the position to.
Exactly. Back then, it's it was just tough to get day by day.
You had to make a living.
Exactly.
Which is,
so there may have been somebody that had talent that just didn't realize it.
Just didn't realize it.
It wasn't something that was spoken about.
Right.
So but I think the same thing. Like, where did this come from? Because it's not from me. When I'm drawing, it's like it's not me. It's somebody else that's doing it, because you just go off into another zone. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And the hours just fly by. They
do. It is really amazing. So once you got out of art school,
I
didn't go into the art field?
No, I did not. So many artists from art school. I worked in a warehouse for several years, and I did some construction. I worked for the Postal Service for a while. I did real estate.
It's funny that you said that, because I was going to ask you if you worked for the Postal Service.
I did.
I had a feeling.
How did you know?
I don't know.
Isn't that weird how you
yeah, I did. It was on my way here.
Oh.
No less. Yeah.
Maybe because I knew where you are when you called and said, I know that place, because I know that from
That's funny. I didn't know
years
it.
past.
That's right.
But, I did a lot of different things. But and then when you have kids, and then oil painting. Well, now they have odorless turpentine.
Yeah. Oh,
which
do
you
they?
really? Oh, yeah. You can't smell.
Oh,
but back in the day, turpentine, and that was one of my loves of art school. Was walking in the painting studios and you smell the oil paint and the turpentine.
Yes.
I loved that. But for kids, my wife was no, you can't. We can't have this.
I will give you a very good reason. Now, my mother, as I said, was an artist, and every week she was part of an art group, and so each week it would be held at somebody else's house. So whenever it was held at our house, I was always down there with my easel and painting with the ladies. Yeah. So I started young too. Mm-hmm. And so this one time, but my mother worked in oils. At that time, she did oils, and so did I. Well, so one day, and I was about all of maybe 5 years old. Maybe. Could have been, a little older, a little younger, but not much, past that. So one day, we always would play in the basement. We had a finished basement, and I was like, Mom, can I play with Richie's gun? You know, he had toy guns. No, leave your brother's guns alone. A couple minutes go by. Mom, can I play with Richie's whatever it may be? No, leave that, you know, leave your brother's stuff alone. Well, I tried 3 times, you know, and so Richie's stuff was definitely off limits.
Yeah.
So we had a Dalmatian dog. And the dog came downstairs, and there were paintbrushes sitting in turpentine. Now, of course, you know, it didn't dawn on me that they were sitting in turpentine. Well, I painted the dog pink.
Oh.
And with this, the next thing, because it was burning the dog, the turpentine, you know, it was not pleasant.
Pretty,
and the dog goes running upstairs like a bullet, running around in circles. My mother's like, oh my God. Well, she didn't say don't paint, you know, the dog was not off limits, you know.
Yeah. But it reminds me of when my brother, he's a year younger than me, and the girl across the street, they were the same age and they were the buddies, they hung out. They were just little kids, maybe, I saw a picture, they had to be 3. They painted her father's car with house paint they found in the garage. And I mean, there's a picture of the 2 of them standing very proudly in front of this. And I have to say, her father must have been and he was, I remember him, he was a great guy. But he must have had the patience of a saint, because it was just, okay, stand, let me get a picture of you 2. I mean, he had painted most of the car with white paint. It was a black car with white house paint. And back then it was probably, it wasn't, you know, acrylic paint that was going to wash. That was oil
you weren't
paint,
going to get
I'm
that.
sure,
You weren't going to get that off. Oh, my
yeah,
God.
you know, probably nobody said don't do that. So
yeah.
They did it.
Well,
it was funny, but the picture, they were so proud. You could see them very proudly standing in front of the car that they painted.
Well, because he didn't yell at them, obviously.
I guess not.
You know?
They didn't look particularly scared.
No. You know. So, well, you know, it's funny because when my mother, you know, was like, what would I do? So she called the local pet shop, thinking, you know, he would know. And she's hysterical, and she's like, oh, my daughter painted our dog pink. What do I do? And the guy just started laughing.
Probably the first time he heard that one.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm here hysterical, and he cannot stop laughing. And I was like, oh my gosh.
That I did for a friend.
Let's pull this one up.
He said his wife had always said, there's one person that I would leave you for, and that's Keith Richards. Just a joke.
Oh, you're kidding.
He had me do a drawing for her for Christmas last year.
Oh, nice.
And
Oh, it's beautiful.
I've been up to their house, and it's prominently displayed. She loves it.
Wow.
She goes,
that's a beauty.
Yeah, this one I did. I was telling you about that one picture that I did with him and Janis Joplin. And I initially did it with this and a picture of her that really didn't look like her.
Right.
I mean, my picture looked like the reference. It just didn't look like her. So people are going, who is that? And I go, well, it's Janis Joplin. But so anyway, I showed it to him and he goes, So I said, well, all right. So I just chopped her off and I matted this. I'll sell this separately.
Yeah, that's a beauty.
Yeah, that one came out
That's
pretty
really
good.
nice, yeah.
It just didn't look like, it wasn't a good reference photo. I chose the wrong picture.
Who is this?
Just nobody. Somebody I did years ago. I kind of like that though.
I do too,
I made the hair look almost like
the hair
flames.
is fantastic,
I did use a rough, you know, I followed it roughly from a photograph of a girl whose hair was very red. So I made it look a little rough. I wasn't trying to make it look like it was on fire, but just sort of like a little
There's an artist going back in the, I want to say the 60s and the 70s, and the hair flow is very similar to that.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
it was very flowing.
Yeah, it was swirling around,
yeah,
almost
swirling
like
around. I love
like
that
flames.
look.
Yeah,
I like that.
I just kind of like that one.
Yeah.
It was really nobody though. It's
Right,
not
right. Nobody,
anybody.
but I like it. But yeah, so let's go back to your artwork.
Yeah.
So I just want to. This is Jimi Hendrix. Let me see best spot there for it. Do I have it straight so he's not cockeyed? And then we've got Amy Winehouse here. I'll try to.
Get the right.
There we go. That's. Go this way, Donna. Okay. Really, really amazing work.
Yeah, that one's a church in Vernon.
I was going to say this looks familiar to
it's
me.
right down in Vernon. The tree is not there anymore. Shortly after I drew that, I guess the tree was diseased. Maybe they were worried.
They took it down.
They took it down, so it's not there ananymore. But
wow.
I'm glad I got it while it was still up.
Yeah. Oh, this is beautiful.
Yeah, Don's place.
Oh yeah, the Gingerbread Castle.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
It's not in its glory when it was back when I was a kid. I remember going there when I was a kid when it was. It's at this point it was kind of left.
It was.
It was
really,
a little
but
run
this
down.
is great.
I believe he's maybe trying to.
Unbelievable. One of the things that I have to tell the audience is I appreciate all the detailed work that you do. I don't know if you can see it. If I got up really close, you might be able to, but the detail is just amazing. And this one will probably really blow your minds.
Yeah, that's actually a print that I did. I have the original drawing that's this size, 18 by 24.
Oh, no kidding.
And when I first did it, I did just a white background, but I just didn't think that looked right. So in the original, then after I had photographed it for this print, I had blacked out the background. It looks a little bit more dramatic in the original drawing.
Wow, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's funny. The artwork is just never finished. You look at it a year later and like, well, let me fix that.
Yeah, but sometimes, and then you're like, why did I do that?
Yeah, I've done that too. I should have left it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a nice little scene in Washington Square Park.
Is that where it is? Okay.
Yeah, a couple of ladies sitting on a bench on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
I just kind of like that scene.
Yeah, and again, the detail is amazing. Now, do you take a photo and then come home and do this instead of doing it there? Yeah, because I would imagine. Okay,
and eventually I seem to draw mostly everything that I'll run out of like reference photos. So I go, man,
Well, one of the things that I found with your work which is so amazing, and I have to show them this book later if we can get a chance to, is the fact that you're equally as good at doing people and buildings, and then you go to animals. A lot of people may be good at one thing, but they're not so good at other things.
The pen and ink though, that's my thing.
That is your thing.
That's my thing.
Yeah,
but the other was I do animals, and there's a dog over here, a Gordon Setter, that I had a dog like that many years ago. And Gordon Setters, some of them are a little shaggier, and they could look a little different. That one looks just like the dog I had.
Just like the dog.
It wasn't, but I did it as an example of.
Well, I have to say, your work is amazing. And
well, thanks.
You're having also, now that's something that if you live in New Jersey or New York or even Pennsylvania or Manhattan, you're having a art show this weekend on Saturday. From what time?
1 to 6 p.m. or
1 to 6
even
p.m.
later. I'm here, so if
All
people drop in a little later, I'll be here.
Okay.
And I've got 4 other artists along with my own work that take up actually most of the space. Actually, there's 4 other people that will be showing some of their works, and yeah, I'm really excited. There's just so many good artists out there that have really the exhibiting space is so limited.
It's so limited,
and,
right?
I'm more excited for people to see their work than my own. Really.
Well, that's what's really nice is that, and that's what I love about my show is that it's giving artists a chance to be seen in more than just one place. Yes, my show is on YouTube, but it airs in Orange and Sullivan County as well as in Manhattan. And then, of course, I also put everything on Donna's Happy Hour Facebook. And it's my way of contributing to the artistic,
well, thank you for that.
Fields. As you know, I also do a lot of singers and musicians and bands and everything. But I like to also include, I would love to include actually dancers, but that means I need a bigger space, to be able to let them perform. It's a little more complicated. So doing a single artist or, doing a band or a solo artist is very easy, But yeah, thoughts for the future.
Yeah. I know some dancers.
Do you really? Oh, see that?
Interpretive dance in the city, but she has a house up here too, and is also a fabric artist. She weaves.
Oh, no
just
kidding.
Amazing artwork.
Oh, interesting.
Too, yeah.
See, that's something I would like to,
she's a very interesting person too.
Yeah.
In future shows and in past shows, she's had work here.
Oh, really?
And,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you run into just the coolest people.
Well, that's it. There's just so many avenues of art, and that's why I don't want to limit myself, and I want to try to help artists because let's face it, I think that's probably
they need help.
They need.
They do. It's a tough world to break into.
It really is.
Like I said, there's just it's limited opportunities for artists, and there are a lot of really, really good artists. And we were talking earlier that a lot of times it's being in the right place at the right time. You just happen to be where you should be.
Where you should be.
And things happen, and other people just don't seem to be in the right place. That like the Dr. John song.
It does. It makes you wonder. It's like okay, so that's like I had this kind of a little off the beaten track, but I had a patient who won the lottery.
Ooh.
Won over 300 million. And I think they only bought one ticket. And now, mind you, she told me the story 2 years after the whole thing happened. And she still, 2 years later, couldn't believe. She kept saying, like, why me? Like, why not the guy in front of me or the guy in back of me? Or, And I was like, I wouldn't ask that question too much.
Yeah, no, just enjoy it.
Just enjoy it.
Enjoy it. It happened, and there's just no explaining life.
There is no explaining, right? No,
things happen, and you don't know why, and don't waste too much time trying to figure it out because you'll never figure it.
You'll never figure it out. Well, it's true.
Well, good for her.
So if somebody because they are going to get to see a lot of your work. And if they were interested in buying a particular, how do they contact you?
Well, I have a website, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
So I could be contacted through either of those.
Or.
Yeah, and pretty much everything's for sale. There's a couple things that, like one of the, in here, there's the Jimi Hendrix.
Okay.
I don't know.
Right. There's certain ones that you may want to hold on to.
Yeah, there's this one over here. That's
a beauty.
House. Yeah, I'm not ready to let that go.
That go.
Yeah,
and then that happens, and that's okay.
Maybe next year or next week I might think, oh yeah,
Right.
Then again, if somebody offered, they come in and go, hey, I want to buy that, and I'm like, yeah, sure.
Right.
I might let it go a little easier than I think I might.
Yeah. I get that. I get that.
But yeah.
So it's Bruce Young.
Bruce Young.
And Facebook, Instagram.
Bruce Young on Facebook. Instagram, let's see, I changed that. What is it now? Bruce Young Portraits.
Okay, Bruce Young
Bruce Young
Portraits.
Portraits
Okay.
on Instagram. It used to be something else, and I
Okay.
would tell people, "Oh yeah, go to Instagram and here," and they go, "You're not there," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know I am," but it's like, yeah, I changed it.
We changed it.
So
That's
Bruce
okay,
Young
because I'll
Portraits.
look too.
And yeah, Facebook is just Bruce Young.
Okay.
There's a few of them, but I'm the artist.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah. All right. Good. Good. And you said the show is from 1 to 6.
1 to
right?
6, Saturday, the
Okay.
19th, 2 days from today.
And now, how will they know your address when they go to Bruce Young Portraits on Instagram? Are you?
You know,
do you have
that's a good point. I didn't put an ad up on Instagram. I deal mostly with Facebook. You
Right.
know, Instagram, I just don't get it. But Facebook, I use almost exclusively to promote my own art.
Okay.
If I don't promote myself, nobody
Right.
else is
No,
going to
well,
do
that's
it. Well, you
right,
do.
right,
Well,
I
thank
do.
you. But you're rare.
But-
I mean, nobody else is going to do it. So
No.
I've been putting up little flyers every other day,
Okay.
featuring some of the other artists and myself too. You know, so a few pieces of work, and I have the dates. So it actually looks pretty encouraging. It seems I'm getting a lot of feedback that a lot of people are going to come.
Now, do they need to call you to let you know, or just
No, just drop in.
show up?
I'm here,
Okay. Okay.
and just stop in, and yeah.
Okay. So, do you want me to give your address out? So,
Sure,
Well,
sure.
or why don't you, so I don't mess it
it's
up?
I'm in Highland Lakes, New Jersey. The address is 2237 Lakeside Drive West, Highland Lakes, and that's in New Jersey, in Vernon Township.
Okay.
So yeah, stop
Yeah.
by.
My GPS made a little mistake.
Yes, and you
but
ended up in an adjoining.
yes, I was at a
community.
different lake.
Yeah.
So if that happens to you and you're on a Lakeshore Drive West, but it says the numbers are 1, 2, 4.
Yeah, these are
You're
high
not-
numbers.
Yeah, these
like
are high
you're,
numbers.
Like you're on,
and that's what clued me in. I said,
on Lake
I'm not on
Michigan
the
or
right.
something. You know, 2237. It's
Right.
not that big a lake.
Right.
How did they get up that
Well,
high?
the other thing too is I was on a dead end.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I
the
know
road
this
you
isn't
were
going to
on.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you know.
know.
So I was like, I know I'm not in the right place, although my
Yeah, the tip-off was, you have a gray house with white...
with brick. No,
with brick.
no,
Yeah, I know the house.
You did too, yeah.
Yeah. So,
and I was like, okay, well.
Now that you mentioned where you were, I go, yeah, I know
Well,
that
I'm
house.
just glad I was, because I assumed you were in New Jersey. And then I was like, oh,
Yeah.
please tell me that he's
I was
like...
the same, because there's a Highland Lakes, New York, up near Monticello. If I'm
And
not
I was like,
mistaken. I'm like,
please tell
uh-oh.
me no, yeah.
yeah, I hope she's not up there. But when you said, Barry
Right,
Drive, and I
right,
go, okay,
yeah,
she's
yeah.
2 minutes.
Well, not
5
only
minutes
that,
away.
but then it meant I sent Clay
Yeah,
to the wrong place too.
place.
And I was like, oh, I'll never hear the end of that one.
Oh, no.
Tell us the story about that.
Yeah,
Now
well, look at the
Fillmore
marquee. You
East.
got,
Oh my God, Blood,
birds,
Sweat, and Tears,
Blood,
Jimi
Sweat, and Tears,
Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix. I had a friend,
Oh,
another
my
guy
gosh.
that he goes, I was at that show.
Oh,
The one that
wow.
was like January 1st.
Right.
He was there, and then the Grateful Dead. They used to have great.
That's fantastic.
You'd see like 3 big names, or
That's
2
right.
anyway,
Yes,
at least 2
two.
for like
at least
$5.
two. Right.
That was back in the 60s.
And, yeah,
so.
but but $5 back then seemed
Yeah, it
like
was
a lot,
more.
you
Yeah,
know,
but still, it was
yeah,
only
it was.
now. You see things that are thousands of dollars
Oh,
to get in.
forget it.
Yeah, but this is a print of a larger 18 by 24 pen and ink that I did, and it's funny, when I was doing this, I needed people. You know, some of these people, I used the photo, but I changed the marquee,
Okay.
and this was an actual show, but it wasn't, and this was like a building that was burnt out. In some
Okay.
pictures that you see of it, it's not burnt out, and in some, I remember standing on line here, going around
Oh,
the
wow.
corner, 6th Street maybe. But I asked
amazing.
people, I said, if you have a picture of yourself, like sort of like looking 60s,
Yeah.
send them to me, I'll put you in. No, but the one girl, one woman, and
That's
she's got
right.
artwork here too,
Oh, no
actually, Laura.
kidding.
She sent it to me, so that's her. And she says, the picture she sent me, she was on her lawn, and her dog was there. So I put her in with her dog. And so
That's
she's the only
great.
one that actually responded. So, and then I put myself in, and the girl I was going with at the
Funny.
time, we used to go there, and the rest of them are just people that,
Oh my gosh. But
kind of
even
make
there,
up.
all the detail, I mean, is
Yeah.
amazing that you do.
Yeah, well, the original was much bigger too, and this is a print
But yeah, but
prints that I
it's
made.
still. Let's go into now. You do work in oils as well, correct?
I wish I was an oil painter.
Oh, you do.
And I do.
Okay. I
But
was
I'm
gonna
not an
say,
oil painter.
You don't
there's
classify yourself. Okay.
not really. I like to do it, and
Okay.
occasionally I just feel I want to break out the oil paints and start painting. Then I'm like, I'm not an oil painter, but I mean, I do have some pieces
Right.
here that I've done, and occasionally they'll come out, okay. But
Yeah.
I feel more comfortable with a pen.
And ink.
In
Yeah.
the case of the portraits, they're graphite, pencils,
Right,
basically.
right.
I just feel more comfortable. A paintbrush, I just never, even in art school, I would see these other guys that had beautiful brush strokes, and I'm like, I can't do. I just
Right.
feel clumsy with a paintbrush.
With a
in my
paintbrush,
hand.
yeah. It's interesting because, again, I started with oils, and then I eventually went to markers and ink. That was what I
have to try
actually,
that.
yeah, that's what I went to, and then I started to go to watercolors. I didn't spend much time with
Yeah, me
watercolors.
either.
It was just
Yeah.
not, I mean, not that I didn't enjoy it, it's something different to do,
Yeah.
but to do my own stuff, to do my original work, I always go back to my markers and my, ink.
Yeah.
pens.
There's so many different mediums.
There
out
is,
and,
there
and
is.
you can mix them. I have a portrait over on one wall of David Bowie. I used 6 different mediums, and I wasn't
yeah.
sure if they would really interact with each other, but they did. I was a little surprised.
Yeah.
And, I used oil pastels. I used regular pastels, soft pastels. I used colored pencils. I used ink.
Wow.
Maybe a couple other things too, and it actually, I was surprised.
It was surprised
I
how
liked the outcome too.
It is interesting. When I was doing my own thing, I was basically working with just black, and recently I thought, well, I'm going to start drawing again. I haven't done it in a while, but but now I think I want to start to introduce different mediums to it, make it, give it different textures, give it different, different feel. Just it's something I'm going to experiment with.
No,
and see
every
if I
once
like
in a
it.
while you just,
you
you
have
have
to.
your base, the thing, like I said, the pen and ink.
Right.
That's my,
Right.
I just can't wait to get back to doing that. I am
Right.
working on one right now, which is, that's my thing,
Right,
so,
right.
but every once in a while you see there's so much out there, you just, let me just
Right.
give it a shot. If it doesn't
Well,
work
if you
out,
don't,
it's not the end
if
of
you
the
don't
world.
try it, you're not going to know.
Yeah, exactly.
And you may fall on something and go, "Wow, I should have done this years ago." But
Pastels is why I started with them. And they come out. I do mostly people and animals in pastel. And there's a certain amount of learning. There's a learning
Yes,
curve
there
there.
is,
And
there
sometimes
is.
when I'm in the middle of doing something, I'm like, why am I doing this? Let me just shelve this thing. But once I start something, I have a really tough time just letting it go for
Letting
a little
it go.
while.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
I once I start it, I got to finish it.
Oh, interesting.
People say, I get people like I post a progression on Facebook as I'm doing a piece.
Right.
And I'll start it, and after a couple hours, I put up and people will say, "Oh, I love it just like that. You should just leave it like that." And I'm like, I can see their point.
Right.
But
right.
I can't leave
But you
things
can't.
unfinished. I just can't. I try, I can't. And there's a point where it makes sense. You go, yeah, you know what?
Now, how about?
But if you go a little too far, then you've gone too far, and I got to finish it.
How about? Do you ever, let's say, get to a point in a painting where you've just reached kind of like a stalemate? Will you walk away from it?
Everything I do, I get to that point. There's the rip it up stage of almost everything.
No.
I just want to rip it up. And then
wow.
it turns out, not every piece, but in some things, some of the better things that I think are the better things ended up almost, I mean, I don't tear anything up, but I feel like it. I do want to just like crumple it up or tear it up and go, it's just not working. But you stick with it. You know, I'm a persistent character. So, you know, you stay with it. And then all of a sudden, within maybe a half an hour, you go, got it. You know, and you start feeling it. And yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I would have to just literally walk away.
Oh, yeah.
Because...
yeah, you don't know what to do next.
Yeah, you know, you have to walk away. And then you come back with a fresh, you know, look at it.
Yeah, that happens.
Which
I know
is,
exactly what you mean.
Or that's what I found for me. Now, some people won't. One of the things that's nice about oils is that you can make a mistake and you can, you know, cover it up and paint right over it. And, you know.
The thing with pen and ink, and I didn't realize this, you can actually erase this stuff. On Bristol board, not every surface.
I was going to say,
like on a
not
good
on every
Bristol board. Not the, you know, and I found this to be true. You always want to get the best you can afford in art material. I've used inferior Bristol boards, and then you can sort of erase, but you really have to be careful because then you tear the But with
you
with
change the surface, and then when you're trying to get a nice smooth line,
then
you don't get
it's
it.
all But with the one that I use, the Bristol board that I use, and this one particular eraser, I had a picture I had done, and it's around somewhere. Of West 59, or it was Central Park South, and there's a big metal sculpture of the globe. I don't know what they call it, but I did the drawing of that, so the buildings, and there was a guy right in the foreground of my photo, and I go, oh, let me put him in there. That's interesting. It wasn't interesting. It was scary. He was right there looking at you, and I'm like,
he's
got to go. And I erased him totally, and he was pretty good size right in the foreground. I erased him and then just did what would have been in the background, some cars and whatnot. And I look at the thing now, I can't tell exactly where he was.
Oh, wow.
Because it erases down. But it has to be a good paper and a particular eraser. It just only works with... And this is from years of experimenting. And kind of, like you said, you kind of rough up the paper where now it's not going to take the ink as well. So, you know, it's experimentation.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, but
learn that many times, too.
Yeah, because when I first started, it was don't make any mistakes because it's ink. And, like, if you make a mistake, you have to sort of, like, incorporate it into, like, I'll make a bush over here that's not really there, just to cover it. And now I can just erase it.
That's fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah, and it doesn't seem that you should be able to do that. But you can with a certain Bristol board.
Well, that was one of the things I found when I was doing my work, is that I didn't want to make a mistake, because it's not like I didn't want to have to erase anything, because I didn't want to have to possibly ruin, you know, because of whether it be the eraser or the paper, it wasn't going to come off very well. And so it was like, and I usually, when I draw, some people may sketch it first. Mine, I don't usually do that.
I'm not a sketcher.
I'm not a sketcher.
Start right in there. You know, sometimes it's a mistake, but no.
Exactly. I don't know if it's a good point or a bad point, but
I've seen people. Oh, this is a sketch for a larger piece. You know, they'll sketch it all out. I'm like,
No,
I'll start right on the larger piece,
mine is pretty much one take.
I guess
that's the best way to put it.
I don't know if it's good or bad, but it works for me.
But it works, exactly,
If it works for you, then it's the right thing.
You know, so, but that's very interesting. So basically now you've been painting and drawing for, gosh,
I don't
Well,
even want
without
to say.
saying, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Let's not go
yeah, a
there.
long time. I went to
A
art
long
school in the
time.
late '60s, so put it,
Wow.
do the
Yeah.
math.
Right,
It's a
right,
long
right. That
time.
is a long time.
But like there was, like I said, the years when the kids were growing up that I really didn't do anything. It's really only since around the late '90s or 2000 that I really got back into drawing. And I saw
Okay.
the pen and ink thing. You know, things happen, and after a while you go, how did I start with pen and ink? Like,
Right.
because I don't remember, but I do remember that I was in a doctor's office and they had a fairly large pen and ink drawing of Central Park with, I guess, maybe Fifth Avenue or Central Park West. I don't know which side they were, which angle they were at, but, in the background. And it was just, I'm like, wow, this is just black and white. I'm there.
Right,
And
right.
I just, right then I said, let me give that a shot. And I loved it.
And you loved it.
Yeah, I never really did much with it before.
I think honestly, probably the reason that I gravitated towards pen and ink markers was it was more affordable.
Well, that too.
I mean, really, when you start buying all the
Oil paints
tubes
are
of oils
crazy.
and it is crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah. So that was, I'm sure, and of course when you're in school, and you're majoring it and you're going through a lot of it.
Oh yeah, in school, that's what we did. I mean, you paint
Right.
every day, all day,
Right.
which was a great thing. But yeah, you go through a lot.
But you go through
Canvases,
a lot. Right.
canvas
Yeah,
is
exactly.
expensive.
Exactly.
Yeah, the paper. I mean,
Right.
what, the paper was
Papers
$1, a
and
couple dollars a piece for a paper, and the pens.
Right. I mean,
I
it's
used
all gotten
disposable
everything.
ink,
Yes, yeah.
but
Everything's gotten more expensive, but still, if you're looking at replacing it a lot, it's not as costly as
It
the
really
oils
isn't.
and
I
stuff
see
like that.
people and they use paint thickly when they like impasto paint. I guess they
Right.
glom it on it. And I'm like, I see dollar signs when I see that. It's like, wow, you're using a whole tube, but that's $35 for one tube of paint or more.
Right.
And they got like a 6 foot by 6 foot canvas. I can't imagine what it costs.
Right, what it costs. It's true. So let's go to like
Yeah,
this is totally.
That's an oil painting that I did of
totally
a
different
local
than-
farm. It's
Okay.
Heaven Hill Farm. Well, it's actually the farm adjacent to Heaven Hill Farm. It's a nursery kind of thing.
Okay. I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah. To the left of that, like down the road, is actually owned by the same person.
Okay.
But this is the actual original farm.
Original farm.
And that stone wall wasn't necessarily there in the picture that I took. There was like a few rocks, no real wall, but it looked like just a little too much snow there. So
I
I'm
was
going to put that wall in there.
You made the definition, so
yeah. And then I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll just paint over. I kind of like all the snow. And then if I change it and then I don't like it, then I got to go do it again.
Right,
so I'll just leave it.
No, very,
It's
very
not totally accurate. And this one is another city scene. I was sitting at a light on 42nd and 9th Ave. And these people were walking by, and there were more people, but when I did them, it almost looks a little bit like the Beatles walking across the street,
I was just going to say
but that wasn't intentional.
Like Abbey Road, yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at it and go, oh, wow, there's 4 people and they're crossing the street.
Right.
And it's funny, this guy looks like, it seems like in every drawing I do, there's one giant looking person, but he's like in the foreground and he was really tall. This guy was in the background, so he would naturally be smaller anyway.
Right.
And he was tiny. So it looks like there's like an 8-foot guy here, but it was just the way they were positioned.
But it's just the way, no,
and
it's
it's
very
just,
good.
A street corner in the city.
Yeah. I think what makes it, gives you the idea of Abbey Road is I think in that photo of them that there are those lines in the road.
There's the lines
and that's
also.
What makes you think of it.
Yeah.
but the fact that
they were going
4.
the other way too,
Right.
And it was not in New York City. It was probably in London or somewhere.
Yes, it was. Yeah, fantastic. But one thing that I want to tell people is that you don't have to be a really good artist to enjoy doing it. It's very relaxing.
Oh, it's great.
And very gratifying. And there's so many you can, places that actually you don't even have to pay for classes
Oh, nowadays, yeah.
to take
Yeah, they
classes.
have seminar, little
Yes,
groups, artist
yes.
groups that,
And especially
yeah.
like seniors, they have the groups and stuff like that. So, it's something, if you're looking for something to do,
Yeah, you
it's
don't
only,
have to be a tortured soul to be an artist.
exactly,
People
that's
like,
right.
if you're not like, Van Gogh or
Yeah.
one of these, guys that,
Right.
that you're not really an artist. Like you can enjoy it.
You can enjoy
You
it,
can
right?
enjoy doing it. I do anyway,
Absolutely.
and I
Yeah.
consider myself an artist, but um, you know, some people may not. There's different
Right,
people
right,
that, well,
right.
no, it's not, this,
Well,
my style, that's, hey, everybody has, how boring would it be if everybody did the same style?
right,
Everybody's
right,
different.
right.
And
That's
it's
right.
all, I enjoy to look, there's I was going to say Dennis Hopper, an Edward Hopper exhibit at the Whitney Museum. And
Uh-huh.
I just love that kind of stuff. It's kind of
Right,
stark,
right.
and nothing, just the planes, different planes in different colors. But
Well, that's the thing, like now my sister-in-law well, actually, my husband's side, several of his brothers and sisters are very good artists. And my sister-in-law, she tends to like doing flowers. So if, let's say, you're somebody that has a flower garden and loves your flowers,
yeah,
you can start with something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, you can do anything.
You can do anything, or let's say you like to fish, you know, then that might be a way to
Yeah.
go. Start painting
Yes,
fish.
some people feel that it has to be like earth-shattering, special.
It doesn't have to be, right?
Just any old thing. And some of the greatest paintings that you'll see are just of just insignificant things that most people wouldn't even think of.
Wouldn't
But
even,
it's all composition and
right,
texture
right.
and color.
But
There's a lot that goes into it, but it doesn't have to
you
be
just
an
start.
iconic. It doesn't have to
It
be a
doesn't,
George
right?
Washington
Exactly.
Bridge, or
Exactly. No.
it can be.
And as you go along, you will learn, and there's many, I mean, you can even go to the library. There's many books that you can get, art books
Oh God,
that
yeah.
can show you how to do.
And YouTube and
YouTube,
and
right?
social.
Yeah, that's.
I mean,
yes.
I've learned so many different things.
It's-
Sometimes if I can't sleep,
Right.
instead of just tossing and turning, I go on and how do you make how do you screen print? How do you make a screen? How does that work? And I'll just
Right.
look it up, and by the more I don't know how to. I
Right,
couldn't do it, but
right.
I have basic understanding.
Yeah.
Just curiosity, there's all
It
kinds
really
of,
is amazing. That's true. YouTube is an amazing
God, I wish
tool.
they had it when I was a kid.
You and me both. Yes.
How many times
Yeah.
they fix things on a car?
Oh.
You look on YouTube,
Yes.
it's simple. You take it to the dealer, it's $350. It takes you 5 minutes. I saw one where a 17-year-old girl said, you just undo these screws, you pull the thing, boom,
Right.
it's done. And
Right.
she goes, I'm a 17-year-old girl. If I can do it, you can do it.
You can do it, right.
It was
It's
simple.
true.
And
It-
it's
it
like
really is true.
$350 at
Yes.
the dealer. To replace a light bulb in a car. It was an Audi or something.
yeah,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, crazy
Yes,
stuff.
it is crazy
Yeah.
stuff. As a matter of fact, that's very true because I had a bulb go out on my car, and it probably would have run easily $350,
Yeah.
maybe more. And my husband went on YouTube, and
Simple.
it was the
Yeah,
simplest
yeah.
thing.
They're not going to tell you
No,
at
they're
the
not going
dealership.
to tell you
no.
that. It's really so. Whenever in doubt of something,
Go
or
to
you
YouTube.
go to YouTube. Yeah, it
I do
really
it all
is.
the time.
It's true
For everything. I mean, and
really
they
for
have
everything and
everything.
Yes.
Literally, I don't think I've ever gone where there hasn't been somebody explaining, oh yeah, it's
Right.
not that hard, you do it, everything.
Right. Now, of course, you may come across some things that you're going to be like, no, I
Yeah,
can't
so
even
still-
attempt it.
it's still a little
still a little
difficult,
too
yeah.
out of my
Yeah,
reach.
yeah.
But you'd be surprised how many things that are on there that you thought you never could do,
And you can.
and you can do it.
Yeah, well, I always, when people say I can't do that, no, you can't, because you already
Because you're
decided
right. That's
that
right.
you can't do that.
That's exactly
and
right.
Once in a while, I'll say to myself, I really can't do that, and then I have to stop myself and go, I could, if I really tried, I know
I just don't want to.
I could do it. Yeah, it's just there's
Right,
other things.
I may not want to, but
exactly.
I.
But once you say you can't do it, you've defeated yourself already.
You're right.
It's absolutely true.
Absolutely
when you think about it, because then
you're right.
I can't do that. It's easier to say I can't do that than to actually give it a shot. You may not be
it
an
may not be
expert
perfect,
at it,
right? Exactly.
but it could be. You can do it.
Yes. No, it's amazing when you put your mind to it. What you can do, what you can accomplish. It's just that you have to have I guess the faith in yourself. The belief that what. Why can't I do this?
No, it's amazing what you can do. I found that
it's amazing.
The older I get, the more I wish I had known this when I was younger. Because
Well,
there were a lot of things that I probably could have done. Like when I got out of art school, instead of going to work in a warehouse, I could have gone to New York and maybe got involved in the art scene there. And who knows?
But that's the thing too. It goes back to being at the right place at the right time. I did the same thing. I got out of college, and did I go into art? Not really, because one of the things that I always wanted, for me anyway, is I loved drawing the Disney characters, or creating new characters. That was the thing that I liked to do, and it seemed so far-fetched that I would ever be able to get a job working at Disney, which now I sit back and I think, you didn't try. How would you know?
Exactly. That was the thing too. Yeah, Disney was it. It was like that's the epitome.
That was like the epitome,
And people, but the people that were there and were successful at it were the people that just went for it.
Yeah, they went for it.
And, I'm sure there were thousands and thousands of people that went for it. And it doesn't always work out. But
no, it doesn't.
At least they tried.
But at least they tried, right.
They're not sitting there thinking, gee,
exactly.
if I did that, I could have really been successful.
Right. Or if I would have thought a little bit more about it, maybe because, of course, Disney World and Disneyland weren't anywhere near where I lived. Mm-hmm. You send a letter. But when you're that age, you don't think of that.
No,
it's like
you just don't.
You're like
your mind, your priorities
the
are all.
easier thing to do is to say, most people are starving artists, which but you have to try.
There are some very successful artists out there, though, too. You see it, and
exactly.
It's like we spoke about earlier. It's being in the right place at the right time, and you don't know when you're going to be in the right place at the right time. So you got to be out there.
Exactly.
Because if you're not, I sit in my studio. People are like, oh, you don't go out. I do go out. It's not like I'm a hermit. But people say, I don't, you don't see you out that much. And I'm like, these things don't draw themselves. This is like,
well, that's very true.
There's a lot of late hours. And
I was going to say, so how many hours, let's say, I love this one. I got to tell you, I like that one.
That was, that's a restaurant that we used to like to go to, Lamella on Mulberry Street. And it was dusk. And when we came out of the restaurant, I just turned around and there was an older guy. He's got his leftovers, I guess, in a bag. And he's talking to the guy from the restaurant. Yeah. And what I like about that one the best is right on the lower right where the sign is reflected in the window of the car.
I like that.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, that just came out.
Yeah, there was something that just struck me.
Yeah, they probably take 40 hours.
I was going to ask,
somewhere in that range. Yeah.
Okay. So pretty much for like this one and any of these?
This one maybe lasts 35 hours.
Okay. What about like this?
Well, that's a print. So the original,
so the
friend of mine bought the original. It was 11 by 14, probably 12 hours.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, but there's a lot of, you notice
I noticed,
all the
yeah,
leaves
that's why
I
I
got
thought
in.
you would
People
tell
are
me
like,
more hours than that.
like in some of these
Wow.
buildings, you'll notice like I do all the bricks.
You do. I
People will
noticed
put a
that.
brick here and a
Oh,
brick
yeah,
there,
it's
and
amazing. That's
okay,
why
this is a brick
I
wall. Well,
want
I
them
do
to
all the
really.
bricks.
I mean, this one. This
Yeah,
is this is. I mean, the detail. We're talking
Of the
the bricks
trees and the
and the
leaves.
doors and the windows, and he's got all the panes
Yeah.
and everything else in
Yeah,
there, and
they,
it's no, it's
you get
really,
into it, and
I mean, the trees are just amazing.
yeah, I like the detail. Like
Yeah.
you could. I mean, even I look at these things and I'm like, oh, I forgot. It's like but I can actually put myself right back in the scene because I was
Right.
there and I took these pictures. And occasionally somebody will say, I could smell the food cooking in,
Yeah.
Like the restaurants.
Right,
and
right.
it's like, well, I did my job then. If you can put yourself
right,
into
exactly.
it,
If you can put yourself in.
yeah.
Yeah, no, just amazing. Well, to sum it up, again, if you want to get in touch with Bruce, go to Bruce Young
Portraits on
Instagram, or you can go Bruce Young, on Facebook.
Yeah.
And the address for Saturday, and again, it's from 1 to 6, is 2237 Lakeshore Drive. Lakeside.
That's where you ended up.
That's where
Lakeside Drive West in
Lakeside
Highland
Drive.
Lakes. Yeah.
In Highland Lakes. And you won't be disappointed. I hear that you're already getting a lot of calls, right?
Well, yeah, people have been saying, "Oh, well, definitely coming,"
Right.
and that's encouraging.
That is encouraging.
I'm sure there are others that haven't responded that are going to come through.
Right.
Hopefully,
Right. So
I mean,
just
stop by.
don't feel intimidated. Just come.
No, just come and look. There's some beautiful art here, and
Right.
and the artists are pretty interesting people.
Right,
I think.
and they also have the where it's not the actual painting, but the prints. So you have the prints,
some prints,
which are reasonably
Right,
priced.
yeah, that's the whole
which
point
is
of
still
prints.
right,
Yeah,
exactly. So you can go that route as well, but you have such a large choice of diversified.
Yeah,
is
it's
the
not all the
word
same.
that I should say.
I've seen certain shows where a particular artist will have, and it's all pretty much the same
Right.
stuff.
This is all different.
This very different.
Right, if you're-
that's why I like having other artists.
Well,
around.
that's it. If you're an animal lover, you've got that.
Yes,
If you if you want something that's bold and bright in colors, you certainly have. Who is this artist again?
Corey Harden.
Corey Harden.
Corey, yeah.
And then if you want to go big and bold as well, then
Dennis.
you've got Dennis.
Yeah, they're big and bold. Yeah, yeah.
And then of course you have Bruce, who is multi-talented in just about anything he does. Again, thank you so much.
So
really,
much.
I really
Donna, it
enjoyed
was a
myself,
pleasure.
and I'll
Thank you.
try to make it out on Saturday.
Yeah, if you can make it, it's
weather
we'll have to.
providing.
And if it's later, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
Right, yeah.
If people, a lot of times on weekends, I'll put a sign out in the road because this road out in front here, a lot of people walk. It's a nice walking route.
Now, what about where people can park if they come?
Yeah, anywhere's on the streets,
Okay.
and generally the Highland Lakes clubhouse is literally across the street.
Across the street, so they can park there.
Although, from what I understand, just recently, there's going to be something going on over there.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to take if the parking lot will be full or not. But out in
Right.
front here, up and down the road, you can park. There's places.
All right.
But if there are places in the clubhouse parking lot, that makes it just a lot more convenient too,
Right,
because
right.
it's right there. It's 2 houses
So there's
away.
options, and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
won't.
yeah.
So don't get nervous if you you come down the street and there's no place. Always look at the clubhouse.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just want to say thank you, everyone, for joining me, and see you next week.